Imagine a city so ambitious it defied the desert and the sea, a Greek jewel born to dominate yet doomed to violent oblivion. What happens when the most immeasurable glory meets the most merciless ruin? This is not the story of any city. This is the story of Selinunte, Sicily's westernmost Greek outpost, a place where the stones speak of ambition, beauty, and a fall that still resonates among the sand dunes. If you are ready to discover the secret of this forgotten metropolis, prepare yourself for a journey that will change the way you look at the past. Selinunte wasn't just a settlement, it was a statement. Founded around 650 BC on the southern coast of Sicily, its location was strategic, almost provocative. It stood majestically on a promontory overlooking the Mediterranean, its gaze reaching toward Africa. It was a bastion of Greek culture in a frontier land, a point of no return where Hellenism took root with unstoppable force. Here, Greek civilization not only manifested itself but openly challenged the boundaries of its own world, pushing itself beyond all geographical and cultural limits. The beating heart of Selinunte was its acropolis. Imagine yourself there today with the salty wind tousling your hair and the breathtaking view unfolding before your eyes. The blue of the sky merges with that of the sea, an infinite horizon that was once the path to new exchanges, new conquests, and perhaps even new challenges. But the real wonder wasn't just the view, the wonder was its temples, an almost arrogant expression of its power. These stone giants, born to touch the sky, today lie on the ground, stretched out like ancient warriors defeated but not forgotten. They are not simply ruins, they are silent but eloquent witnesses to a bygone era of glory, to an art and a faith that believed they could last forever. Every broken column, every overturned block of stone, is a page from an ancient book, written with the greatness and tragedy of a people. Selinunte, in its golden age, was a city that thrived with an almost feverish vitality. Its streets teemed with life, its ports welcomed ships laden with goods and culture from every corner of the known world. It was a rich, powerful metropolis, one of the most significant Greek colonies in Sicily. His temples were not only places of worship but monuments to his wealth, his political influence, and his unstoppable expansion. But this prosperity did not flourish in a vacuum. It thrived in a constant shadow, that of deadly rivalry with Segesta, the ancient Elymian city to the north. This competition wasn't just a squabble between neighbors, it was an existential conflict that defined the identities of both cities. Selinunte was Greek, Segesta was Elymian with strong Punic influences. Their geographical proximity and cultural differences made them natural rivals for control of border territories, trade routes, and agricultural resources. Every success of one was a threat to the other. This incessant tension not only fueled the ambition of Selinunte, pushing it to build ever more grandiose temples and expand its dominions, but it also helped shape her greatness, forge her resolute character, and her self confidence. It was a rivalry that, in a more serene era, might have led to a dynamic equilibrium. Instead, it resulted in a spiral of vendettas and alliances that, in the end, proved fatal. The rivalry between Selinunti and Segesta, which had fueled such greatness, became the fuse of its tragic end. It was a fatal mistake, an escalation that led Segesta to ask for help from Carthage, the great maritime and commercial empire that at the time dominated North Africa and aspired to extend its control over Sicily. Carthage saw in that request the perfect opportunity to interfere in Sicilian affairs and annihilate a Greek power that threatened its interests. The fate of Selinunte was sealed by one of the most brutal and rapid episodes in ancient history. In 409 BC, an immense Carthaginian fleet, led by General Hannibal Mago, nephew of Hamilcar Barca, appeared before its walls. It was not a simple siege, it was a wave of destruction. The Selinuntines, confident in the strength of their walls and their legendary power, found themselves unprepared for the ferocity and efficiency of the Carthaginian war machine. For 9 days and 9 nights the battle raged, the walls fell under the incessant fire of the siege engines, the city streets became rivers of blood. The attackers, driven by vengeful rage and the promise of spoils, showed no mercy. Houses, temples, every building was set on fire. The inhabitants were massacred, enslaved, or forced to flee. It was a sudden, merciless, and total end. In just 9 days, a golden city, a symbol of power and prosperity, was transformed into a desert of ruins. His light went out forever, leaving behind only a cemetery of broken marble, ash, and torn memories. The echoes of the shouts and roar of battle faded, replaced by a silence that lasted for centuries. Today, the remains of Selinunte's fortifications are still there, tenacious stone sentinels that tell a story of strenuous defense. Walking among these ruins, you can almost hear the soldiers' labored breathing, the smell of smoke and fear. One can imagine arrows whistling through the air, stones hurled from catapults, the clang of swords. Every block of sandstone, every section of collapsed wall speaks of a battle fought with desperate courage, of a last attempt to resist an inescapable fate. They are stone scars, forever engraved in the landscape, which testify to a strength of spirit that, despite defeat, has remained intact. Among the ruins that dominate the promontory, the majesty of Temple E stands out, partially rebuilt in the 20th century. Dedicated to Hera, or perhaps Aphrodite, it is a powerful symbol of what Selinunte was and what it wanted to be. With its Doric columns standing out against the blue sky, it is the emblem of a civilization that knew no limits to its ambition, that firmly believed in beauty, architectural perfection, and divine power. Though it has been restored to its former glory through the painstaking work of modern archaeology, Temple E stands as a sentinel looking toward a glorious past and a future that never came. It is proof that the city was capable of creating works of immortal beauty, almost as if it wanted to defy mortality itself. Today, the silence that reigns among the sand dunes of Selinunte is almost deafening. Broken only by the sound of the wind caressing the dry grass and the lapping of the waves in the distance, this silence speaks louder than 1,000 words. It holds the secrets of a city that once lived in pomp and grandeur, the voices of craftsmen, priests, merchants, warriors. It is a silence full of memory, a silence that forces us to reflect on the fragility of human power and the inevitable passage of time. Every grain of sand, every wildflower that sprouts among the ruins is part of this story of resilience and remembrance. Today, Selinunte is much more than a simple archaeological site. It is an open air labyrinth of history, a priceless treasure that fascinates and moves anyone who ventures among its ruins. It is a place where time seems to have stood still, where the wind between the columns still tells of the ephemeral glory and inexorable fall of Greece and Sicily. It is an invitation to reflect on the fragility of greatness, the transience of power, and the enduring power of memory. Every stone is an enigma, every shadow a memory, every perspective a lesson. Selinunte is not just a past to be observed, it is an experience to be lived, a warning carved in stone that reminds us that even the most splendid civilizations can fall, leaving behind only the echo of their ambition. A place where the ancient soul of Sicily reveals its deepest secrets. If these stories of ancient civilizations and legendary downfalls fascinate you, don't miss our next journey into the mysteries of the ancient Mediterranean.